Today on Locked On Phoenix Suns, womp womp, a loss to the Kings in Las Vegas in epic fashion. It's not even over. We're already hitting record. 24-point loss, but a lot to break down. Khaman Maluach, Ryan Dunn, and more. The debut of Rasheer Fleming. We'll get to all of it. Let's go.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Phoenix Suns. I'm Brendon Kleen, a staff writer at Awful Announcing and a credentialed Suns media member. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen here on this Tuesday. Don't forget Locked On Suns free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Click that follow or subscribe button. Do what thousands of other Suns fans have already done. Become an everydayer. Get locked on to the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Breaking down game number 3 at the NBA Summer League. A loss for the Phoenix Suns and some Bradley Beal news. Joining me to do it, as always, from the wonderful West Valley, my fellow Suns credentialed media member. How are we feeling? Ben Garcia.
I haven't had a loss that is so bad that didn't hurt at all. Now it's Summer League. Like, who cares? I thought you're perfect and not analogy, but saying womp womp was like the perfect way to put it. Not great. Not what I wanted to see. Man, that Kings team, Clifford, Carter, and company, I kind of was hoping to see a little bit of Maxine Reynaud. Damn, that team is swarming defensively. They were just pushing guys around. So not the way you wanted to see it go. That's for sure.
Not at all. And I think the being pushed around, I want to just say a little bit of vindication for your boy here, because I mentioned liking Devin Carter and I'd trade for him at the drop of a hat if I were the Suns, whatever. And somebody was like, "What are you even talking about? This guy does what?" Just saying, watch the game. He was pretty great. He just had a big injury last year. He was a guy a lot of people liked for the Suns before he ended up going all the way to 13 last year. So a little bit of, payback, I guess, or showing why he should have been there, and the Suns were on the wrong side of that. But getting pushed around by him and everybody else, I think number one candidate for that was Khaman Maluach. Just not a great runner-up or, second game-up performance for him. 3 of 9 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3, 2 of 6 from free throw, and I think 4 fouls, 3 turnovers, I should say. Kind of those rookie stats, those young guy stats you try to keep an eye on with the rookies and everything, and that is 7 of those together for him. Not great, Ben. So I just felt like, Mason Jones ends up getting hurt on that drive to the basket by Ryan Dunn, or Rasheer Fleming, I should say, in the second half. But I thought that was a pretty tough matchup for Maluach, even in a way that Sar wasn't, just with Jones's physicality. They were crowding him on his drives and his catches and rolls to the basket. And, not to get too far ahead, I'll let you answer on the offense, but I actually thought the defense might have been the worst side of the ball for him tonight.
Oh, well, then we'll disagree there. Nothing was good, really, for Maluach at all. It felt like his clock got sped up a lot offensively, and the physicality really threw him off. That was a real wake-up call for me of, this is why they got Mark Williams and Nick Richards, because it's going to take a little bit of time for this kid who's 18 years old, who needs to seriously bulk up a little bit, because he was thrown off his spots pretty quickly, especially down low. And when he was bringing the ball up, first off, he needs to keep that ball high, especially down low. It's kind of wild to me that is, but again, he's only been playing for a couple of years. I
think the turnovers are probably the biggest problem in his game, point blank right now.
Yeah, when he would bring it up, it's like this is a common thing in basketball. It's like if you have a big man on you and they got the ball down here, you're trying to swipe that ball down before he brings it up, because then you're cooked. He needs to hold that ball way up higher in those instances. And the one instinctively I was thinking of is early in that game when he had it up here, and as he's bringing it up, someone swipes it down. They're going the direction. They're scoring. That fast break stuff cannot happen. Offensively, just felt like he just pushed around. You kind of mentioned it already. And it led me to believe, okay, pump the brakes a little bit. Nick Richards, Mark Williams, they're going to handle most of the duties. Yes, Maluach is going to play significant minutes, but he's got to learn to A, play with a little bit more physicality because the NBA is a lot tougher than it is in Summer League. And B, he's going to have to put on a little bit more mass. I'll let you take over the defensive things.
Well, I just think, honestly, I don't even, this is going to sound more mean to Mark Williams because he didn't even play tonight than I mean it to, but it honestly felt like that game that Mark Williams played against the Suns, not the one where he had like 30 points and 20 rebounds, but the other one this year where KD and the Suns were kind of toying with him and exposing him as a, kind of just being out of position on the defensive end. There were a lot of moments like that in this game for Khaman Maluach where, he's helping. There was the one play where Oso ended up being the rim protector because Maluach just got absolutely caught in no man's land, basically doubling a dude at the free throw line. And Oso was split between a guy in the corner who was a spacer and then a dude cutting to the basket. And that guy just ended up getting a complete wide open shot at the basket. There were a couple of those. There were times where he did not get matched up correctly coming down in the fast break and ended up, I think Neat Clifford got him on a cheap jumper where he drew a foul just because Maluach wasn't even of course he's not supposed to be guarding Neat Clifford in space, but it was just because they didn't get matched up. Just a lot of those mental, I don't even want to say errors or mistakes, but where his inexperience and youth just kind of showed up. So yeah, you're right to say that maybe that's a reason, a support for why Nick Richards may end up on this roster come October. I still don't love the idea of him being in the rotation. We've got a lot of time to sort that out. But yeah, he's 18. Maluach is 18. He's only been playing basketball for a half decade or so. And there's going to be nights where he looks raw like this, even in Summer League.
Yeah, and defensively, I think it was Devin Carter that was toying with him on the right, like the far 3-point corner where he kind of toyed with him, put a ball behind his back, kind of put him in a spin cycle, and then drained a shot right over him. Those are the kind of things that if Maluach is going to separate himself from the standard bigs that when they get switched onto a guard, the guard takes him to the cup fairly easily. I think Steve Nash used to do for a really long time. What's going to separate him from being an elite level defender is, can he get switched out on the perimeter and you're not super worried about it? I thought he did a really good job of that in the first 2 games.
I don't even think, is that really your expectation of him? You think he's going to, like, what big
not right
man
away.
like that
not
switches?
Right away.
I'm not sure if that's going to be his role. That's why I kind of am almost like, how much do I really want to hit him on it? I think, like, to me, I'm more just hitting him on, hey, don't put yourself in a situation where you're in that position, right? Like, that's where I feel like the mistakes come in. But I don't know. I mean, Rudy Gobert's not exactly defending Devin Carter out there either, right? Like, that's a tough ask for a 7'2" guy.
No, but when it does happen, hold your own. No one is ever asking a center to be able to go out there and stick with guys on the perimeter all the time. The issue is, like you had said, don't put yourself in that position. The thing that I think was the huge problem defensively, and I don't want to harp on it again because you did, was the exact one you were talking about when Oso was crashing out on someone else, and so was Khaman Maluach. I think it was like on the right elbow, and they just dunked it right past him for an easy layup. I think it was Jones under the middle. Like, that's the stuff right there that can't happen. He didn't know who
he was guarding on that play.
And his timing, I've noticed, is just a hair off defensively, down low, trying to get blocks. Like in college,
definitely tonight.
Yeah, in college you get away with that a little bit more because again, it's college basketball. These maybe not as much of a quick release under the basket that some of these guys have, or don't need as much touch on it to score. He's got to speed up that clock a little bit. I don't think it's something that's going to hinder him, and he's never going to be able to figure it out. He just needs to understand, let's wind up that bad boy a little bit sooner than just go ahead and whack at it like I used to do in college.
I just trust his size more too, right?
That's true.
I feel like there were some where it's like, get a hand up. Like you probably could have at least forced an adjustment by that driving guard if you tried to, but he just you can tell, like you're saying, he's kind of a step behind the play and he doesn't even react quickly enough to affect it, even though he probably could.
And like, just so we're clear, we're harping on Maluach, or at least I am, and I wanted to tonight because he's the 10th overall pick. literally everyone tonight, maybe outside of Ryan Dunn, was a step behind. Like if we did a segment on Oso was not good tonight. Step behind, mental errors. Like we're harping on Maluach because he's the 10th overall pick and he was a big investment into that Kevin Durant trade.
For sure.
It's not anything that I see right away. I'm like, oh, alarms are going off. This is like I know people were talking about Carter Bryant, how great he was. The other night, he didn't make a single basket. He had 2 points and it was 2 from the free throw line. So we're harping on Maluach because he's important, but
special if I've ever heard of it. Nice defensive highlights and no points.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I don't think it's anything to condemn Maluach. Let's not go to the Suns Reddit boards and freak out. But we saw an 18-year-old who hasn't been playing basketball for his whole life. That's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's negative, but it's what this is for. Like, I don't think it's affecting our long-term view of him necessarily, but Friday was a great example of a lot of the good things about him. Today was a little bit of bad. And Sacramento, like that team, they mentioned on the broadcast, like they've won the G League title a couple of years. Carter was a lottery pick last year. Plowden actually was part of that KD trade, the 7-team trade, and the Suns ended up cutting him as part of it. But he was on a 2-way last year. Like these are, and Clifford was a first-round pick just a month ago. So like these are good players, and they just had the Suns number tonight.
And just so we're clear, like because this happened tonight, I thought there was a chance that even if they lost, because it's the Summer League, who cares? Even if a bunch of guys played well, that maybe, and they lose, that maybe they don't play on Wednesday, I think it's clear, like, let's get another run at this. Throw Maluach out there. You have the off day in between, and then you got Wednesday. Let's see him play. Let's let him work out the kinks. Like, let's see him go on a little bit of a higher note. So there's a chance. I thought that you wouldn't see them, and you still might not on Wednesday. But let's. I would like to see him again one more time.
Definitely doesn't feel like Ryan Dunn's going to play. Let's hit on his performance and some of the other guys, mostly lowlights aside from Ryan, next. First, today's show brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. Summer sports are in full swing, so whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, soccer's great. It never ends. FanDuel, the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? And with FanDuel, you can do just that. Get in on the game while your friends or you are getting sunburned at the beach. Let's check out what's going on in the wide world of sports this week. It is All-Star Week between baseball and the WNBA, but there are some regular season games still going in the W before the break. And the Indiana Fever minus 2,200 on the road in Connecticut on Tuesday night. That is a fantastic favorite. So if you're new to FanDuel, bet just $5 on a game like that with the massive favorite and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, Ben, let's keep it rolling here. Ryan Dunn, probably the sole bright spot in the 94-76 loss, as the buzzer sounded during our first segment there. Dunn had 18 points on 6 of 8 shooting, 6 rebounds, and a nice, efficient 6 of 8 from the field. And this is a continuation of Friday, whereas Maluach, it was up and then down for Dunn. I would be surprised if he did play Wednesday. I think he has proven a lot of what he needed to prove. The Suns have now lost a couple of games, so they're not exactly competing for the championship or anything like that in Las Vegas. And, man, I just think the offensive development, it's crazy to think and watch what we've seen Dunn do as a rookie, Ben, and then even just in these couple of games showing off the improvements since the season ended. It's crazy to think this is the same guy we were all watching skeptically, these Virginia highlights and everything a couple years back around draft time. It feels like he is just taken off as an offensive product just since he got drafted. He's gotten so much better, and he showed it tonight.
Yeah, it's funny because you say, like, listen, the president of the Ryan Dunn fan club is certainly over here in the West Valley. However, it's so funny that you'll say, like, he's made these incremental steps to be this effective player with the Suns, right? But there's still a lot to go. Although what I've seen from him in the Summer League, I don't think there's drastic changes to his shot. It just feels a little bit more consistent. And it's not just like the 3-point shooting, right? He was 2 for 3 tonight. 4 for 4 from the free throw line. I understand it's 4 free throws, but that is something, if I'm not mistaken, he shot like sub 40% from free throws this year. So a guy that's going to
barely ever got to the line, which is another thing that he's flashed, where he can actually like dribble and drive and actually get those opportunities, which is nice to see.
It's exactly what I was going to point out is he has superb athleticism that I obviously knew of before, but something that he hasn't really used too much to his advantage, because it feels like he's too scared to go to the line, because oftentimes when you're going to the cup, that's when you're going to get fouled. He needs to be able to be someone that gets to the cup along with Jalen Green on this team. Those are two things that the Suns were missing last year. And then when he's not converting at the hole, be able to go to the free throw line and knock down a couple of jumpers. Because when teams know if you have superb athleticism, but you can't hit a free throw, they're just going to hack you on your way up. So that is something as well for Ryan, where that needs to make drastic improvements. It's not just the 3-point shooting, it's his free throws tonight. And so, yes, only 4 free throws, but an inspiring spot. And then defensively, it was kind of nice to see him get the call to go guard Clifford in the second half. Kind of interesting that's it's probably the only adjustment DeMarre Carroll made all night, but he did throw Nick Clifford on him, and he helped slow him down pretty effectively at that point in the second half. So, again, another bright spot for Dunn.
Yeah, Dunn, he talked to Kellen Olson, who wrote about it at Arizona Sports, and the way he described the little tweaks he's made to his jumper is he wants to shoot it with a little bit more power, is how he described it. And I feel like that's definitely what you see. And really, like, if you watch Dunn at Virginia and even last year, the biggest problem is that it wasn't consistent. So to me, it's one of those things where even just putting in the work and being able to be a pro for a couple years and having the reps and the time to dedicate to it is going to go a long way, no matter what exact tweaks he makes. It's just to iron down what my jumper is, because we know at Virginia the attempts were so low too that it was hard to glean much from his low percentage, because it's like, well, I mean, he took like 30 or whatever it was, right? So I think that's going to be...
I think it was like 13. I don't even think it was 30.
Yeah, I think it might have been 30 over the 2 years or whatever. Yeah, it was nothing. So it's like it's going to be gradual, and I think the lower the base, the feet, I think is what he's talking about with the power, and you can definitely see that it's wider base, a little more rotation on the hips, looking more like a guy who actually shoots rather than just somebody who's chucking them up. And then on the handle, he just said he wants to get it tighter. I think that the thing with the handle is I feel like he's more comfortable getting down into kind of like that driving stance, lower to the ground, and keeping the dribble alive while doing that. And he's kind of able to get past his man and kind of slither into the cracks of the defense a little bit better. But he wasn't the only player we wanted to hit here, Ben.
Yep.
Rasheer Fleming debuted today. I think that's the other guy we definitely have to hit.
Does he know he debuted? Does he know he debuted today?
Yeah. It wasn't pretty. Minus 12 in 14 minutes. Like, I know Summer League plus minus is a little goofy to cite here, but it showed, I think, in this one where he did produce, 7 points, 2 rebounds, a steal and a block, but he kind of looked like a chicken with its head off out there at times, just sort of not comfortable at all.
It's like everyone else knew the plays and knew the zones. I don't even think they, whatever. Knew the zones, knew the man coverage that they wanted to go off of, and no one told Rasheer Fleming. He looked especially lost for that first quarter, but the positives that I will take from it is there were a couple of moments that I did see him like grab a loose ball, or that 3-point shot at the end of the first quarter looked really crisp. He blocked a shot, barely, but he blocked a shot down low. You saw some of that athleticism. You saw him shooting the basketball. What was the most positive thing from Rasheer Fleming though is, damn, that dude is big. Like, that is a big player. Now, and it would be really great if Rasheer Fleming could find a way. Again, one summer league game, it doesn't look great, but again, listen, the dude was dealing with a knee injury. Again, we're not burying him. If he could take over that power forward spot with his size, you're talking about a lineup that you're like, okay, maybe you could send Brooks to the bench if Dunn is ready to be that third guy. But like, as of right now, that 4 position is still a massive question for the Suns if Fleming isn't ready to step up even in a backup role, because you could put Dunn there. You're like, okay, who is it going to be? Oso? Okay, those are kind of 2 drastic players. especially offensively. So Fleming didn't look great tonight. You saw the athletic moments. Again, another guy that I would like to see on Wednesday. Like, okay, you got your feet under you. You had your game, your preseason game. Let's see how you look on Wednesday. What about you?
Yeah, because you're right. I mean, the injury, we can't overlook that. It's not just that he hasn't played in the games, but he probably hasn't been practicing much since that first one where it was his birthday and everything, and we got to hear some quotes from him. But I would doubt that they've been going crazy with him on practice days or shoot-arounds or anything either, because one, it's summer league, and two, he was hurt. So, I get all that, but yeah, I didn't have high expectations for him because Summer League isn't really conducive to the type of player that he is, but this was definitely even worse than that. As far as the rotation, I kind of think Nigel Hayes might be have the inside track at that, some minutes at the 4 early on in the season because, Fleming is pretty raw already. This doesn't make you feel great like he's about to come in and steal minutes, so it might be Hayes, but either way, anyone else you wanted to hit?
I'm going to be honest with you. I just kind of forgot Nigel Hayes-Davis is on this team. Not to mention,
that depth chart they showed on the broadcast, I don't know if you saw that, was absolutely hilarious. It had Ryan Dunn as the third-string 2-guard, and then like the third-string 4, but he wasn't listed as a 3. So he was a backup 2-guard and a backup 4, not listed as a 3. And it had O'Neal was like 4th on the power forwards below the rookies. It was insane. But anyway, yeah, it might be Hayes.
I didn't see that. I just keep on forgetting that Hayes is on the team again because the Suns. I don't even think have announced that signing yet. If they have, I missed the announcement. He's just. I'm not worried about Rasheer. I think the biggest thing is also remember it like this. Everyone on the court presumably has had either a full season to understand the NBA pace and the top 1% of the 1%, or most players have had 2 games in summer league to okay, this is a little bit faster. Rasheer is stepping into the 3rd game where he hasn't played yet and he hasn't understand. Oh crap, this is really fast. So what I would like to see from the 3rd game to the 4th game is, okay, speed's a little bit faster. I'll figure it out. I can't be as laxed as maybe I was at St. Joseph. Not condemning the kid. Just give him a mulligan, a breakfast ball, if you will.
Even Wembanyama, Cooper Flag, everybody sucks in their first summer league game, so we're not gonna drag him for it. But Brea, 1 of 9, Oso 1 of 8, like you said in the first segment. It was rough all around, and I think that this game also really highlighted this team's. They don't have. It's always one of the things I look at if the summer league team doesn't have one of the premier rookies, if that's not a point guard, I always want the team to make sure that they have a good point guard. And the Suns, Collins was on a 2-way, Boogie, those guys played well in the first game, but I think tonight you really kind of started to see they're not breaking down the defense and putting these young forwards and bigs in a good position to succeed. But we'll see how many of these guys play Wednesday. We'll obviously have training camp and everything else to continue to monitor the growth of all of this young core. Let's get to somebody blocking that young core out as it stands right now. That's Bradley Beal. We got a little bit more insight and circled Tuesday, when many of you will be listening to this, as the date that this whole saga may finally come to an end. We'll tell you why next. First, today's show is brought to you by Hungry Root. Let's be honest, meal planning and grocery shopping can be overwhelming. Between busy schedules, picky eaters around the house, and trying to eat healthy, it can be a lot. That's why we love Hungry Root here on the Locked On Podcast Network. They take the stress out of planning by filling your cart for you with personalized grocery and meal options based on what you like and need. Hungry Root uses their smart cart technology to recommend groceries, recipes, and even supplements tailored to your preferences. So whether you're dairy-free, gluten-free, focused on gut health, or just want to eat healthier meals, Hungry Root's got you covered. So take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life at hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA. Code LockedOnNBA. Remember, based on your specifications, if you have an upset tummy when you eat certain things, if you don't like certain types of food, if you have nutrition goals you're trying to reach, Hungry Root takes all of that into account, unlike some of their competitors. That's hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA, code LockedOnNBA to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. All right, Ben, let's close it out. Bradley Beal, we have been waiting and waiting and waiting, talking about, hey, this is going to happen soon. This is going to happen soon.
It's because they're doing a LeBron trade. It's because he's going to be traded for LeBron straight up, Brendon.
There you go.
I wish I just, listen, I'm not going to say that. Never mind. I was going to shade a few reporters, but I didn't. And I'm going to keep it there. Anyways, move on.
LeBron saga, I don't think there's no smoke there. But I don't.
Okay, can you say no smoke to Phoenix?
Yes, no smoke to Phoenix. That's where I was going to go next. I think that's why we have not talked about it on the show. I think I have dedicated one segment to it in each of the past 3 summers because it keeps coming up, and I go, here's why it doesn't make sense. In this case, the dude wants to win. I don't see why playing with Jalen Green as your third best player is better than Luka and Reeves and their, role player group that just made the playoffs. So that's all that I have to say on that. But Beal, Ben, is apparently, according to Mark Stein, owed a 25% advance payment because Mark Bartelstein absolutely fleeced the Washington Wizards. Beal gets 25% of his 2025-26 salary on July 15th, which is about $13+ million. All right. So it seems like, according to Mark Stein there, that once this didn't get wrapped up as quickly as it could have been, that the Suns basically, or that Beal, I should say, basically said, hey, I don't want anything to be jeopardized as far as whatever this buyout's going to look like or any of that stuff, nullifying my contract and maybe spacing out my payments. This was negotiated in, and let's just wait till the 15th comes and goes. So Tuesday, Wednesday, the end of this week, it feels like we may finally get to say goodbye to the Beal era in Phoenix.
Yeah, well, it feels like we already have said goodbye to Phoenix.
True.
All the contract,
once and for all.
Exactly. You and I can open up the door and you can kick him in the ass on the way out. The thing, whatever, man. All the contract mumbo jumbo, good for Mark Stein, I guess, for looking up the contract. I'm sure that's not what happened, but whatever. I'll give him the kudos. What I'm confused is I've heard, again, I'm not a reporter. I just through the grapevine, and then Gambo tweeted out that it was 24 to 48 hours away, a week and a half ago. Did everyone just forget that this contract thing was there? It feels
Probably
like to
nobody
me,
knew. Because it wasn't just Gambo. Zach Lowe's been saying it. Bill Simmons said. Brian Windhorst on TV. Everybody's been saying it. I think once it wasn't 48 hours, then reporters started to say, what the hell's going on? And I guess Mark Stein figured it out.
Sure. Okay. It's almost like I feel like you could rewrite that quickly in a contract and just give him his money then and then cut him off then. Fine.
Yeah, that's true. Part of me that I wonder is couldn't you have just done this as part of the buyout too and given him, did you really have to actually wait the calendar day by day, or could you just have negotiated it? I don't know.
Well, okay, regardless, right? It all comes down to who cares. Beal's going to be gone. Gambo has tweeted out that it's going to be some sort of a point guard / combo guard. Mm-hmm. Do we have any idea on who that might be at this point, Brendon? Because
that's what I was gonna. Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Is one, let's just close the book, the Beal book, before we move to what the Suns will do after. Where do you think he goes? Just for the sake of conversation.
I think it's Clippers.
Yeah,
I think it's that one makes the most sense. And I saw someone mention this, and it made a lot of sense. Of if you can kind of recreate Norman Powell Moneyball style in the aggregate and bring CP and Bradley Beal, you kind of get 85% of the player that Norman Powell is, and you don't have to extend him. So that one makes sense. The Bucks make sense because they're desperate, and Beal could step into that second role, I guess. Whatever. What doesn't make sense to me is why people are fawning over Beal, even as a $5 million player, man. Forget about all the stuff. Let's say all these things. Fine defender. We'll just give him the benefit of the doubt. Good shooter, good ball player, gets to the rim, used to. he never plays. He never plays. He is not someone that you can count on to be there for even 60 games a year, it feels like. So I don't get the fawning over, but if I had to pick, I'd say Clippers and then Milwaukee, because part of it is like, clearly he's trying to do this for his family too. There's no way they up and move him to freaking Charlotte. Like, it's going to be one of the destinations of like Miami, LA, and then Milwaukee, just because they might sell him on a chance to actually win. But you could do that in LA. What about you?
Yeah. So the Clippers, I agree. I mean, as far as we knew before, and of course that's partially just the negotiating of having the no trade clause, he preferred warmer weather. So like Milwaukee, I agree that they're desperate. It would kind of be annoying if he went there to me personally, because it's like, hold on, dude, you just making that up? Like, whatever. But as far as the Clippers go, I think this is one thing that does kind of circle back to the Suns, because their books are basically set up. There's been a lot of conversation about this with the James Harden, renegotiation and everything. It's basically the only players under contract past 2027 for them are Zubats and they're rookies. They're guys on rookie deals. And so I wonder if it's Beal, if they sign Beal, would they give him 2 years on the mid-level? And could that facilitate him potentially giving more back than just the $13.9 million that we keep hearing when it comes to the Suns' relief on that stretch? We'll see. I don't want to get into the weeds of, what exact number, but that could be nice for them, because if he's getting 2 years and, $30 million or so on that mid-level, maybe he gives back close to 30, and that would go a long way for the Suns to not be hit so hard with that stretch. But as you were alluding to, we know that the Suns are going to look at a guard. I mean, it still seems like they're not really interested in Chris Paul all that much. The Suns as a team, even if he might actually be interested in that, or maybe Book would like it, Ben, but Brogdon is still out there. I like that idea still. Kind of feels like it's one of those two guys, and that might be it. Like, I don't exactly see a lot of available people who check that box at this point. I mean, Russell Westbrook, of course, would have to be brought up. I guess Payne, DeLon Wright, you could bring Monte Morris back. I'm not sure if any of those last three names I said are really would really be playing for this team. So I guess the only guy we haven't talked about is Russ. Do you have thoughts? We haven't really gone there, but he's on the market still.
No, I'm good. Like, do I have to discuss why I don't want Russell Westbrook here? I like Russell Westbrook, just so we're clear, is like one of my favorite basketball players of all time, simply because he tries really, really hard. But at this stage in his career, he's a minus defender. He doesn't know when to stop shooting. And like, honestly, sometimes his hot streaks is like the death of him, because he doesn't know when to stop shooting. So like, I feel like I don't need to get super into that, but like for the obvious reasons,
some locker room stuff at multiple stops now. Like you could take his side or KD's or whatever, like a decade ago when all that was playing out. But at this point, Michael Malone's stuff was well documented. He seemed to leave the Clippers on the Lakers, I should say, on pretty poor terms. I just don't really want to deal with that if I'm the Suns for a guy who, what's even the real value he's bringing? A backup guard, and you're not trying to win a title. So how much do you really need that guy to be a difference maker anyway? So yeah, it kind of just comes back to Brogdon for me, if I'm being honest.
I don't know if you saw this, because it was in replies, but Gambo did shoot down Brogdon.
So I saw that, but it's like, then who are you talking about, bro?
I think it's just like I know I don't have a name on me, but I think it's a Monte Morris level guy where they're just coming in, they're willing to play the third string position. It seems like they're really okay with having Colin Gillespie being the backup guy, and I'm not saying that's the wrong thing. The
problem with that for me is like the backup to a guy who's not actually a point guard, which is either Book or Green, however you want to slice it. So whoever it is, that guy will become the second point guard on this team if we're just being straight up about it. And I kind of want a dude who can actually play a little bit because of how thin that position is. What if What if it just really doesn't go well, putting more ball handling and playmaking on Jalen Green? What if we realize, hey, that's not where he's bet. Like, I want the options there. So, but Morris, I mean, I liked him during last season. He's only 30. He could play. Maybe it's him.
And I'm thinking about it because we didn't talk about this before show, so I don't mean to have empty space, but I think Morris makes the most sense, that type of player, because we know Beal's not getting traded, like, obviously. I don't see the reasoning to add a significant player to this roster, even if it means like you're getting rid of Grayson and a pick. I think the roster's set. I think the Suns are going to add a marginal player for injury reasons or to be a third string guy that isn't going to ruffle like the depth chart of the locker room. I think that what we're seeing is mostly set, which is a little disappointing. I thought the Suns might have something up their sleeve, but I think it's pretty clear it's when Beal's gone, which also makes it that much more frustrating, but whatever. Like, I still don't understand just getting rid of Beal, because why don't you just make him your third string point guard? And then next year when he's expiring, figure it out. Like, you wanted a combo guard. He's that guy. Just sit him on the bench. He's going to make just as much money. So what does it matter? So I don't get it. I'm kind of coming at myself from both sides. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah. It's hard to see exactly what the point of all this is still, but I mean, I think
it must just
at this
be a
point,
cancer, dude.
Yeah, well, I think we know it didn't go well last year. Maybe they have some cap space dreams next summer. We've kind of talked through all of that, but
yeah.
I mean, there's a world where Beal goes to the Clippers, Chris Paul also goes to the Clippers, maybe Brogdon goes to the Bucks where he started his career, and then Suns might not even get to pick who they want. It might just be, Monte Morris at the minimum or something, but obviously that's kind of the last domino to fall around the whole NBA free agency-wise, and Beal is holding the cards as he told us all the way back last year. That'll wrap us up. Hit follow, hit subscribe if you haven't already. We've got one more Summer League game coming Wednesday and the conclusion of the saga we were just discussing, plus more. Enjoy your Tuesday. We'll catch you tomorrow.